SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome students to the online NPTEL course Contemporary Architecture and Design. In the previous two classes we are discussing brutalism and metabolism, and in this class, as we was talking about before, that metabolism and brutalism sometimes fuses. In some cases metabolism and brutalism can be an isolated example. The building can only fall under brutalism, where there's only the style of the architecture was derived from the aesthetics of the brutalist principle, or it can only be within the metabolist style, where the functional principle are coming from only servant and served. But sometimes it can these two can blend with each other, and today we'll talk about of this new design where metabolism design style where metabolism and brutalism are together, and especially with the example of Indian context, because many of the Indian architect Indian master architect, they have followed this architecture style where they have followed brutalism and metabolism together. And actually this also falls under the critical regionalism. When we discuss that, we will talk about that these examples can also fall under that critical regionalist style. As we were discussing that this is an art and very subjective way of looking at it. So placing a particular building in a particular particular architecture style might not be a right idea. So the concept can come from a particular movement, then the visual can come from a particular movement, and which can fuse with the other architectural movement, and because it's architect's own perception and own idea, so it can also fuse. So also we have discussed that how brutalism, the visual aesthetics from brutalism can have a critical regionalist approach, which was a postmodern movement. So here if we look at, brutalism and metabolism are together in this last phase of this movement of modern movement, and which is just before the postmodern era. And here in this example, Richard Medical Lab, when we were discussing this in the metabolist movement, we also see from outside this is only brick, so it can also be considered as a brick brutalist movement as well. So as we can just look at what was brutalism. So it came from brute, which means concrete, and it's on 1950s to 1970s, which is in the similar timeline of metabolism. And brick brutalism is also there, where brick is used instead of concrete, and visually heavy and less fenestration and much more robust in structure. And also we see in this Richard Medical Lab the robustness is there used in the service course, where which was connoted at the as servant. The servants looks very robust, and they take the load, and visually they take the load of this served spaces. Because of this Richard Medical Lab, because of this corner was chamfered from this served spaces, it looks like this is holding on to the servant spaces, and this becomes a module of a Richard Medical Lab designed by Louis Kahn. So that robustness was added here in this service spaces. So as in the Yale Art and Architecture Center by Paul Rudolph was designed in the similar way. In the new brutalism, this is the new thing. So here in Siam, it was connoted that ideology of brutalism and metabolism are fused together, where the truth to the material was coming from the brutalism, and truth to the design is coming from the metabolism. What is the truth to the material? Because brutalism is talking about the pure concrete's texture and color, so there was no plaster. Similarly, if it goes for brick brutalism, there was no plaster. And then the stonework in Vividoshi's work in IIM Bangalore, there was no plaster. So the material will be shown as its own aura and own values and own visual qualities. And the truth to the design is the process of the design is divided in the servant and served. So when we create the bubble diagram, we think about that, how this services will go, where the servant spaces will be there. But generally in the previous design, we used to hide the architect used to hide the service course, because there was a notion that service course or the servant spaces, they don't look good. The aesthetically served spaces are much more higher in value, but that was not added there. So there was true emphasis was given to the both the thing, and both the element which is servant was given its visual emphasis. Services were also served spaces were also given the visual emphasis, and they were designed in a different way. So that's why the truth to the design was there. And it also follows a design principle where the service course or the servants will be designed and they won't change, and modularity will only come within the served spaces. So that was also the philosophy of the design, comes from the metabolism. So together it comes when in a building, then it will be the new brutalism or the neo-brutalism, which will be exposed material and concept of servants and served will be there together. So the ethics of the neo-brutalism will have ethics and aesthetics of this thing. So ethics will come from the metabolism, and aesthetics will come from the brutalism. Now in this we have also seen this the servant and served spaces are visible from outside, and they are treated in a different way, so as in the Richard Medical Lab. So and also on the fenestrations are there, but this is there in the served spaces. In the servant spaces, they are very robust, and they are visually robust, and they are going protruding out of this served spaces. So as in the Yamanashi Press Center, which is in the metabolism and has a similar concept, and this looks visually very heavy and robust. And if you we also have shown you the section where it looks like this is served spaces are floating and hanging around this servant spaces, and they are treated in a different way, because this is curvilinear in nature and this is rectilinear. This has more visual weight, and there's no opacity, and there's opacity is much more in this because of this linear voids are added. And this is also flexible, because you can see this elements where individually free it's modular floor plates can be structurally independent. Modular floor plate can be added, fitted with the this 16 service cores. So here the section is also there, so we can see this visually. It also looks like it is taking the load, and it can be added, and it can also be subtracted from each other based on the need of the requirement, and it got modified because of this thing, and it also imbibes the user's need. And also, if we look from outside, the material is concrete, so it can also be called as brutalism. So both the things are there together. Now the aesthetics from brutalism and ethics from metabolism are fused in many of the cases. But if you look at the Yamanashi Press, if you look at the Nagakin Capsule Tower, Nagakin Capsule Tower is definitely not brutalist. It is only metabolist, because from outside it is it is only the from outside, it's not the concrete or brick. If you see the steel structure, it does not fall under brutalism. So it is just this shipping containers. So brutalism, only if it is brutalism, it can only be concrete, brick, or stone. It cannot be steel. If it is made out of steel, so it is not brutalism. It is only metabolist in nature. So as this other press center which we were showing, and where the formwork was kept from outside. So this is the cladding. So that when there was a cladding, the true to the material was not shown. From within there is a concrete work, but the formwork was left from outside, and which works as a cladding. So that is not following the principle of brutalism. In brutalism, there cannot be any cladding. In the many of the architecture example, you can see that from outside the building looks like made out of brick, the exposed brick. But if you go near the building, you will see those are the brick claddings in many of the cases. So if there are brick tiles cladded on top of the building, so that will not be brutalism, because cladding will be brutalism will only have if there is a section, so it will be a brickwork, so will be visible from outside, so there won't be any plaster. But in this case, so brutalism will have only brickwork. So this is the bricks hatch from section. So I'm seeing from this is maybe outside and this is inside, but this is just brick material you will see. But if this is you are seeing a plaster from outside of the brick, and then there another layer of brick cladding which from outside looks like brick, but these are brick tiles, so that won't be a brutalism, because that's not becoming true to the material. So material is hidden, and then you are applying plaster, and then you are applying another tiles which looks like brick. That won't be brutalism, because that's not that is going against the concept of brutalism. So there is another other few examples of neo-brutalism, where brutalism and metabolism fuses with each other, which is Boston City Hall, which is designed by Michael McKinnell and Gerard Kalman, where you can see the served spaces are like canopy of the tree and grows on top of the servants spaces. And another example, now in Indian context, many of the famous Indian architects of modernist late modern era are following this architectural style. So Raj Rewal is one example is one of them. So you might have seen this building. This is State Trade Corporation in New Delhi, Janpath, which is designed in 1989. So you can say this is a postmodern era started, but in Indian context, so we still followed a particular Indian architectural style. So here in postmodern era, this kind of architectural style was there in India, and it can also be connoted and placed within the critical regionalist style of many other architects' work, but not especially this building, but other buildings which was followed this architecture style can also be critical regionalist and continued within the postmodern era. But this is a pure neo-brutalist architecture style, because from outside, if you look at, so this looks like conceptually it has a similarity with the Naga King Capsule Tower or Amanashi Press Center. And here you can see these are the service cores from outside. If you just look at it, you can understand this is the service cores, and which is going this is treated in a different way, and these are the served spaces which you can see that this is floating and hanging from these service cores. And so there is a cantilever, and there is a space, and there is a gap, and through punctuation, so you can see the sky from this side. So that gives a feeling of this units are hanging from this servants cores, and these are actually if you look at, so this is the construction was like that. So these are the three service of the servant spaces, and these plates are added in between them. And if you look at, so they are also changing in nature. So these plates are smaller, and then there was a gap, and 2 plates are bigger, so that also adds to the modularity of the building. But this is not modular, and this cannot be changed, and this was designed, but this has a visual feel of that it can change, and this the concept of servant and served is there, but it always might not be modular. For example, Richard Medical Lab, which is designed by Louis Kahn, is not modular. You cannot change it, and you cannot demolish the building, but it has the concept of servant and served, and they have he have used the visual style in a different, and they are treated in a different way, and servant spaces are given the due emphasis on the aesthetics. So it was also there in this Raja's building. And also, if you look at, so this has much more visually robust and heavy look rather than this served spaces. So in the section you can see this service course are there, and this folded plates of served plates are inserted between these buildings. So you can also see the visual connection and the relation between the Yamanashi Press Center by Kenzo Tange and Raja's building in Delhi. Now another thing of neo brutalism, and but putting this example in neo brutalism will not be very correct, but all the elements of neo brutalism is there in this building. But also this building, the majorly this building is a critical regionalist building. When we discuss that, we'll talk about how this is a critical regionalist building. This is by Charles Correa's Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad. If you look at the building also shows the exposed brickwork, exposed concrete work, and the material which is covering the roof, which is the terracotta tiles, and which is there was no paint and no other elements are added, because of the terracotta tiles are borrowed from the Indian vernacular architecture, where terracotta tiles are used in vernacular huts of village. So this was borrowed from there. So this has a regional connection of India. But if you look at, so this from material side, this is brutalist because exposed concrete and exposed brick are used without any cladding and without any different ornamentation and added on top of it. But if you look at all these services, so from the plan of this building, these are the module. This has a modular plan. This square plans of one modules are added on top of around each other, around a kund, which is a water kund, which is, if you look at the plan, it's available on net. The water kund is there and on the center, and different same elements of modules are added with each other. So that is following the concept of metabolism, where the concept of modularity will be there. So it is not changed because it's designed by Charles Correa and all the functional requirements were filled, but it can be changed and it can be all added. It can be a few modules can be added without destroying the philosophy of the building, because it does not have a particular form of it's not ending up with a pure form that you cannot add anything or subtract anything. So it can be added, but it was not done. And if you look at the plan, it has a fluidity in the design. Now again, another thing is, when this building is there, so if around this roof the water will pass, because this it is pitched roof, or the slope is there, so water will flow in this direction from each and every module. So from between these modules, there is this rainwater will be carried in this shaft, which is running throughout and between this module, which is creating the structural grid or the beam. On top of this beam are actually this rainwater modules will be there, and you can see the section of the beam is like this. So from here rainwater will flow, from here rainwater will flow, so from here the water will be carried, and every water will flow from here, it's like water spout, and in the water kund most of this water will go in the water kund, and it will be there in the central atrium or the courtyard, which is in the actually a water kund. So all this water will be these are the water channels, and water will be there. So these water channels are actually the servant or the providing the services to flow for the rainwater will pass through these water channels, and these are visible from outside. So these water spouts are actually a visual element which is actually a servant. So this is in this form of this particular module, this sloping roof and this column plus this water spout has a lot of visual element emphasis in this design. That's why this design has a lot of has all the attributes of metabolism as well. Now another example of Sangats, this is in Ahmedabad by B.V. Doshi. This is the office, working office of B.V. Doshi. So here also this is exposed concrete, and here you can see the roof will flow the water, and the runoff of the water will be kept from this water spout, and this will go as a cascading fountain, and it will go. So this is exaggerated, this water rainwater, the way rainwater is flowing, that is creating an element of design. So generally in the rest of the other design, so rainwater pipelines will be just a pipeline which will be hidden in the building, which might be even covered and cladded with some kind of a material. It can be a glass curtain wall, or it can be like metal cladding, but it will be hidden generally, or it does not or otherwise it's just a pipeline which will not be exaggerated and augmented with the design element. But here in this design it has augmented, and that's the design element, and you can clearly see how the water will go and how the water is flowing from the and it's creating a cascade, which is just a rainwater which is generally in the other design, other building, it will be hidden. Now in the other example of Saft Ahmedabad, it's also a mixture of brick brutalism and pure brutalism. This is also designed by B.V. Doshi. Here we can see the same the material of brick and concrete, which is visible from outside, and so this is brutalist in from aesthetics, but conceptually if you look at the building has this element, and this water spouts are very big, and this from outside this is the ornamentation of this building, and this comes like in the previous era, in the traditional and the classical age of European architecture. There was gargoyle, or in Indian temples also there was the faces of different animals. From the animal's mouth the water will come, and that is also a accentuation of this of how the water flows, and people will see that in this kind of design is there in the many of the temples of India. So from mouth of a cow or other animal, the water will come out. So that's rainwater which comes out, and but that is beautified, and from that it has been translated into much more modern element, and many of the Indian architects use that water spout as a element, how the water will go from the sky to the earth, and that was exaggerated in the design elements. So here also in this clean and pure square cuboidal building, these elements creates a visual emphasis in the design. So that's all, that's why this concept of metabolism is also there. Now another example of Raj Reval. So this is a particular style which evolved from is followed in many of the architects of India. So IIFM Bhopal also has a brutalist style. So this is more of a brutalist movement because of style which is there in the in the building, and brutalism is followed in this building, and also similarly this arches, series of arches was was translated into a modernist style. So the connection of again the Mughal Saracenic arch was there in the building, and the building also has a pure exposed concrete work, which shows the brutalism. So in this building, it was I'm just discussing about the architects' work and their visuals palette. So sometimes in some of the building, it will be more metabolist. For example, this is more the manifestation of metabolism is more. Here it's blend, and then it is more of a critical regionalist building. Then this is a blend of both, and then this is also a blend of both. But here this is a pure brutalist movement, because we brutalist architecture with definitely it can also be connoted as a critical regionalist building, but metabolist influence is not there. But here in this building, this is Kanvinde's design. IIT Kanpur, and IIT Kanpur's many of the buildings are which has been designed by the AP Kanvinde is falling under brutalism and metabolism's mixture, and also this is a it can also be called as critical regionalist building as well. So if you look at this is the library building of Kanpur. If you look at the building from outside, the structural manifestation of the building is clearly visible. So here in this buildings, all these columns and beams are visible through and through. None of the building is hiding the column. In the most of the cases, if you look at the columns and brickwork will blend with each other, but brickwork is not blending with the column. So there was a gap and there was a fenestration, so that you can see the column from top to bottom, and it becomes an individual pillar like structure, so nothing is hitting this pillar. So this has a particular emphasis on this. So in the corner column also, the corner is chamfered. So from the plan, if you see so this is the brick, and then there will be fenestration, so the column becomes individually has its individual aesthetics, and then the brick will go like this. So brick will never touch the column, so that the column has its own identity, and in the corner the column is the one which is visible. There is no brick which is covering it, and then the brick will go like this. That's why from bottom to top the columns are becoming a very important visual element, and these columns are here are hanging with a little amount of a beam from this side. So the beam is also not crossing here, joining this. So this is protruding out, and then the beam is passing through. So the column is becoming very the structural element column is becoming a very important element. And from this part, to just hold this, there was a free column which is just hanging from going from passing through two floors and joining this. So and from here you can see the series of columns which creates that structural, which is taking the load from this bottom to top, and this shows how the load structure is followed. So this is column is here acting as a served, which is serving as a structurally, this is actually a servant serving this served spaces, which is the library spaces and the other spaces of the building. Now this is also a skylight which is visible from outside, and this is an element which is shown from outside. So this skylight is also an element of a design which is just taking the light from the top, and this is getting an emphasis in the visual emphasis in the design. But this is also a served spaces, and this served spaces is as it is getting an emphasis is also can be a concept of the metabolism. And also if you look at, so this from here, none of this windows are windows does not have much emphasis, because windows are just here to create a visual gap between this brick and this concrete work, and in between there's a linear vertical window. So here you just see the volume of brickwork, and that is getting the emphasis, and windows are just creating between as a punctuation between concrete and brick. So there is a rhythm, concrete brick, concrete brick, this is going like that, and brick, the window slits are just acting as a punctuation between them. So that is not becoming the protagonist, and that is not coming as a main emphasis. So together this building looks very robust and visually heavy. This is the faculty building of this IIT Kanpur, and here also the staircase has a lot of visual emphasis, and this is treated in a different way with robust concrete work and very light slit, so that it has the robustness of a servant space. So it has the has that element. So there's a lot of concrete and a very light slit between this concrete in the staircases. And also this is more dynamic element in the design. All these lines are vertical and horizontal, but here, because the alignment of the staircase is in such a way that this has a dynamic line which is slant line. Slant lines are definitely more dynamic line than vertical and horizontal line, which we know on the principle of design. If the orientation of this staircase, the staircase orientation in the plan is in this way. That's why in this way, that's why the slants were visible. If the orientation was in this side, then the slants won't have been visible, so it will lose the visual emphasis. And also this is not, the staircase is not on the same line, so the staircase is recessed, so it has a different treatment. From outside, if you cannot see it from here clearly, but if you look at this photograph, this is as a working as a water pipeline, open water pipeline working constructed with the concrete. So from here the rainwater will come, and this is the channelizing the rainwater, and all over IIT Kanpur's design, so this kind of rainwater pipelines are there. So these all are rainwater pipelines from outside, and that creates the visual emphasis. So this is the rainwater pipeline which is going from top to bottom. So all over this building has this rainwater pipeline, which is the visual element. Even in this building also there are rainwater pipeline around in many places which are visible from outside, and when the rain comes, this water will flow from here. So this is also a metabolist approach where services, so this is a served space which is having its own design, is acting as a aesthetic element. And some other examples by architects who are not from India but has their work in India. So Joseph Allenstein has two of the famous buildings in Delhi, which is India Habitat Center and India International Center in Delhi. So this also has a brutalist approach. So this is the brick, and then there was a stone cladding as well, but main protagonist of this building is brick. And also there is this same approach of rainwater pipeline, which is acting as a punctuation and creating the rhythm of the building is there, and acting as a visual element. So this is a fusion of metabolism and brutalism. And here in this building, this is brutalism, and which is shown from outside, and this exposed brick work is used, and in this building as well. And some other architect like Christopher Charles Benninzer also used this element of which came from Doshi's work and Charles Corrier's work, and has been percolated in other architects' work as well. And here also we see the local material, which this is in Pune, this is a educational building. Of stone work is used to blend with the local stones which is available in the hilly terrain, which blends with that. So this also can be critical regionalist approach is there in the brutalist, because sometimes it can also be stone, which we have seen in IIM Bangalore's work is there in this design. So many of the Indian architects or architects working in Indian context has followed a particular style which works with the exposed material, which is concrete, brick, or sometimes stone, and uses few of the architectural elements like water spouts, or the elements which acts as a rainwater pipeline made out of concrete in the cases of taller building like Kanpur has been used in the Indian context. Thank you.